Hey, welcome to Pro Tips When Building a Rig Part 12. I'm Gabe the Animator. Let's get into it. So, here is my rig. In the last video, I completed the rig. So, the parenting system works. We can parent up this way. I'm going to grab both legs here. And your legs should be separate from your body. There are 100 million different ways to rig a character, but this is your best bet. Okay, you want the top half on its own and the bottom half on its own, and then from there parent up and grab the entire rig. And you always want to be parenting upwards. So if you are hitting the hand, it should parent up. You're pressing B, by the way, to parent up, and Shift B to parent down. So B is going up, 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 grabbing both arms, and then here we have the upper body, torso, hips, and full body. Now I do want to point out that my rig doesn't really look exactly like the model sheet, because the model sheet has this like really cool shading to it. And there would be a way to do that, but if I get into that, it's going to get a little bit too intense, like too complicated, and the rig will become extremely heavy. So just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to keep it like that. However, I do find that like there's just a little bit too much red and not enough dark red. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into this section here, and I'm going to color that a darker red because it kind of looks nice here. It kind of looks like his rib cage, so yeah, I think I'll do that. And there's another thing I wanted to do was add this really cool lighting effect. I wanted to add that to his legs. So let's just do that before we get into anything else. So I'm actually going to go. Okay, let's go and find that leg here. Okay, so this is my leg. And I'm going to add the leg shine. Let's call it the leg shine here. So Control R for a drawing layer. And let's say leg shine. Okay, add and close. Here's my leg shine. I'm going to plug that in there. And of course it's going to need its own peg, and that's going to be plugged into the master leg here. Okay. So let's go back here. 1 and 2, by the way, to zoom in and out. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 here. If your mouse is over the camera, you can press 1 and 2 to zoom in and zoom out, and 1 and 2 to zoom in and zoom out on your timeline. Now, if this is not working, it's because you have to turn on your, you got to go to Preferences here under Edit, and you got to turn on Focus on Mouse Enter here. Okay, and then click OK. So Focus on Mouse Enter means that wherever your mouse is, that's where you're going to be zooming in and out of. So if I put my mouse here, I can zoom in and out and zoom in and out. So a lot of people don't have that Focus on Mouse Enter button turned on, and it can be a source of frustration for sure. Okay, so here's the leg shine. What we can do here is let's go ahead and see if we can copy. Come on now. Let's see if we can copy that shine here. Where is it? Let's turn on this button here and under Tool Properties. This is going to select any layer. So I don't necessarily have to be on that specific layer that it's on in order to be able to select it. So I can just hold Control and click on it, and it will take me to that layer, right? So here, and if we want to see if we're actually on that layer, we can turn this off, turn this on, and then play with the so you can see here that this is my lighting effect. Actually, we might be able to just copy that arm shine here, or arm shine plus transparency plus deformer. Let's try to copy that actually. Well, no, I'm gonna make a fresh one. I'm gonna make a fresh one because I don't want it to look exactly the same as that. So let's go back to my leg business here. Okay, here's my leg shine. But what I am going to do is I'm going to grab that color here. So a lot of people will go through their color swabs in order to grab that color. But what you can do is you can just select, select that piece that you want, and then you grab the color picker here and just click on that. Now you'll know if you're on that color just by looking at this tiny little square here. And of course, if you go to your colors, it will highlight that color automatically. And you can see that I didn't name it, so I can just name this shine. Okay, so let's go back to our node view here, leg shine. And I'm going to grab my brush stroke here, and I'm going to see if I can maybe I'll try to keep it simple here, like that. And then what we want to do is make sure that the pivot point, because you can see that shine here through his legs, so I want to make sure that my pivot point is in the right place here. And we can put that, I guess, I don't think we'll ever really use that peg, but it's good to have it. And then finally we want to have a deformer on this. So remember, when you're doing deformers, this is turned on by default and it's terrible, the automatic mode. You want to have the envelope, even if you're not creating a specific envelope and you're just creating a spline like this. You want that envelope button to be turned on. And the difference between the two is that now I can move the offset if I want to. Okay, so you're noticing here I'm moving the offset. Well, if you don't choose your envelope, if you don't choose this one and you choose this one, looks the same, feels the same, but whenever I move the offset here, it's going to move the entire thing, and that's very annoying when you're trying to animate. So this just gives you a little bit more options here. We also need to have a transparency node on that shine here. So let's go and find that transparency node, because I want the same transparency. It's 70, so we can actually copy that. Oops. Control C, Control V, put that in here. Now we've got some transparency there, and here we have a problem. It should be the stripe should be white, right? Just like over here. It's white. And how we did that was here's my bolt and here's my cutter, and then here's my color override. Okay, so we're going to do a color override for that leg here. So let's grab a cutter first. Let's see if we can just cut that. Put that here. Put that in here. Let's hide the model sheet. Now you can see my cutter is actually cutting. It's not exactly what I want, so I'm going to double click the mask here, and that's not what I want either. So I'm going to switch those wires around here. And this is what I want. And then I want to see the leg again. So I'm going to have another composite here. And I'm going to tell Harmony, show me the leg here. So now that cutter, you know, stops here. And now I want a color override. So let's go and get a color override. This brick wall here. And we want to grab the flash here, the flash colors, and find the yellow. Send the yellow over here. I'm going to have to go and take a look at how I did that in the arm here. The bolt, the cutter, the color override, and the color as well here. I think I might just need to do the exact same setup as that, because it's getting pretty complicated. It's not just like a one-time thing. Do I want to get into that? I'm going to try something else here. I'm going to copy that. Paste special. Create new columns and link to original palettes. Here's my arm shine. I'm going to change that to leg shine here. And I'm going to switch those three things here. So we'll get rid of that. We'll put that in here. And then we'll take a look at, okay, so all of these are going in there, and then all of these are going under the color art. All right, here we go. Let's grab the color art. Start here. And that cutter is going, in here in the composite. Okay, let's see if we can do that. There it is, right there. Okay, so let's just do that for all of those pieces here. So, you know, even though I did that myself, it's so complicated that I had to go back and actually take a look at how I did that and sort of reverse engineer it. And whatever, you know, there are a lot of rigs out there that you can get off the internet. And it's amazing how much you can reverse engineer stuff. Let's go fast here. And it can get pretty busy, you know. The amount of wires you're going to end up with when the rig is finished. It's crazy. There's that piece there. And I do remember when I did that shine in my previous videos, I'm going to add a couple more of those. Just copied and pasted them. Like, what was I saying? Yeah, I remember doing this in my previous video, but it was like a year or two ago, or maybe more. So even though I remember doing it, I don't remember exactly what it entailed, but I remember that I tried different things, and this was the only proper way to do it, was that each piece needed a cutter. Sometimes you don't, like most times it doesn't need to be this complicated. Guess we're almost done here. Let's look at that leg here. There we go. So we have that stripe there, and if we do this, it's getting cut, and you can still see the line art here. It's not going over the line art, which is what we want. So we're just cutting that section, and we can move that shine around. Okay, and when I did this deformer, I put one at the top, one at the knee, and I always get these nice long handles, by the way. I put one on the ankle, and I always have it go past the toes here, so we'll be able to fit it in different ways, in different poses. So the next thing I need to do here is change when it hits that boot. It needs to be white. So let's go and take a look at that boot here, this section here. Where is that? That's the boot here. Okay. Highlights. Boot highlights. I don't think we want that. So here's the boot, and I also need the boot to be with the toes. The toes are here. Arch and heel. So I'm going to need to have a little bit more room here. Okay. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, my leg. And even though everything is in order, I would like to have my boot next to my foot. Do I want that? so I can have the color override business. I might have to do it in 2 steps. Let's start with this step here. Okay. So I want that to turn white when it reaches that yellow part. Let's start with that boot here. Okay. That's the boot. This is it here. So I want this to change colors. When it reaches this. Let's grab the color art here. Put that color art. It's going to be a brain breaker here. Let's not kid ourselves here. So this part, this boot, is going to get cut. There's going to be a color override on that. Color override, let's see if that works. Okay. I think it has to go through here. Color override. I want this to be white. Close it. Oh gosh, this is going to be a brain breaker. Hold on. I'm going to start over. I'm going to take a look at what happened here, because I know I was able to do it. So there's the bolt. Here's my cutter, and my cutter override, and my cutter. Okay, let's start by copying that. And then put that over here. Paste it here. So now I want aha. Okay. And now I want the shin as the cutter. So let's go to color art here, bring that back here. Okay, we're almost there. We can see that that has changed. Switch those wires around. Okay, we got it. No, not yet. That's that color override. But I still want it to see the yellow effect. There's the yellow effect. Wow, this is complicated. Got the leg shine. Okay, so the boot goes in here. Let's try this again. Color art. Color override. It's working here. You can see that it's white. We're almost there. So that, okay, let's just do that instead. Oh. Oh, yes, we got it. My goodness. Okay. Okay. So, we just want that color art. Okay. And let's go take a look. So we do have line art there. So because you can see that the line art is being affected right there when I do that. It doesn't really, I think we're not quite there yet. Like we did a really good job here, but we're almost there. So what I want here is that I don't want that to affect the line art. So I'm going to say, okay, I want this line art, hold on, this line art here to show up over top like that. So it's showing up over top, but now it's showing outside the boot, which is what I don't want. So it kind of belongs there, and this kind of belongs here. There we go. So now it's behind that line art, and it's nice and bright. I don't know why it's not showing up as white. We're almost there, but not quite yet. Okay. And we need that as well for the rest of the foot there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy, you know, we're not going to redo that for the other leg. So the other leg, we're just going to keep the static transformation. We're going to cut that leg out completely. And once this leg is perfect, we're going to copy it and flip it and connect it to the free transform. So we're almost there. Let's finish this. So now we need, So you can see the color art of the boot is going in here. So basically we need to put the rest of the foot in here. Foot shine comp. Okay. So I can actually bring that all the way here and grab the line art, or the color art rather, of each thing, and that is not working. Toes. No, it's not working. How about the full thing? No. How about the full thing here? No. Oh, this is going to be another issue to solve here. So this wire is coming. This wire here is coming from the shine. So we've got that wire. It needs to go through the cutter. Oh, look, I messed this up here. Let's do a bunch of undos. There we go. Okay, so this is working. Okay. Okay, I see why it's not working. It's because of these guys are already connected up here. And they, so, okay. So, might just need to plug those since they're going in here. Let's try the toe one. So that is going to go in here. Nope. What if I just grab the color override? Let's copy the color override and paste it here. And just slide that in there. There. But it's not the best. Okay, so do I need this set up for each piece, each individual piece? Color override after the cutter. Yeah, that seems to be working. Copying and pasting that. Okay. But now this looks fine and that doesn't. Which means that this is better here. And that I might not even need this. It might have a different effect because of the yellow versus the red. Or I've got another wire that's wrecking this effect. Why is it doing that? What is different about this? Is it because it's... Okay. So now I mess with the layering and you can see that there's this difference on all those pieces, right? So it might be because I need to flatten that. So instead of a pass-through, I'll go as bitmap here. And I'll flatten that. Does that make a difference? Yeah, you can see if I reset that and it goes behind that, I think that might be why. It's because of the layering. Yeah, it's because of the layering. So you can see when I bring that forward, that creates an issue. Let's see if we can crank up the resolution. Maybe it's not going to do that when we render a movie. So let's just make a QuickTime real quick. Export movie. Browse. I'm going to call this flash test. Flash test movie under downloads is fine. Same as screen resolution. And we'll just go frame number 1. Let's do display all. Let's see what happens here. And it's still showing up in that movie. You can see the difference in color there. This is stumping me. I'll have to run more tests. Is it because there are too many cutters? Instead of having all these cutters, maybe I can just have one cutter. I think I'm going to try that instead. So let's save that. Now I'm going to change and just get one cutter No, that won't work. Well, we'll try it. We'll try it. Okay. Can I have more than one thing plugged into that? And the answer to that is yes. So if I choose one cutter and just do that, I might now I have another problem. Let's not do that. And instead, let's remove the transparency and render it. And it's the transparency that seems to be the issue. The transparency is the issue. Let's get a fresh one in there. Nope. The transparency is definitely the issue. Maybe we can make that a little bit lighter. Yeah, look at that. Gonna make it very subtle. Like that. And for the arm, because I want it to be the same, I'm going to go and remove that transparency on the arm as well. So now it's more uniform. Okay, so no more issues with that. I mean, this is a little bright for the boot. I'm wondering if we can just put a transparency on that particular place. Or within the color override, we can go like that. And then put an alpha on it over here. I don't know if that will work. It doesn't seem to be working. So maybe instead of a bright white, instead of having a bright white, we can grab this yellow color and then just make that a little bit, well, not so white, let's say. So now it doesn't stand out so much. And we're going to copy that color override. and paste it over here. 1, 2, 3. Let's get rid of that. So to slide, I'm just holding Alt. I'm grabbing that, holding Alt, and it just slides into the wires this way. And then, sorry, and here I remove this one. But it doesn't seem to want to work on that foot. So now we got another problem. Okay, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to keep that bright white, and we're going to move on. Just pressing undo, Control Z here. Okay. All right. That's that. Okay, so now what I want to do is copy this leg. Okay. Copy selection. Paste special. Very important. Create new columns and link to original palettes. Always click OK. This is going to be leg 2, and we are get out of here, Grammarly. I'm going to change the color here, and essentially what we want to do is connect that leg to the leg transformation. I'm going to bring that wire all the way over here. And you can see that this leg exists right behind the original leg. It's right here. But when I connect it to the static transform, hooks up properly, and we want to connect the auto patch from here to here. So let's go and find the auto patch from the hips. Hip. So here are the hips. Here's the auto patch. We grab a wire from the auto patch. We zoom out and we go all the way here into the thigh. I lost my wire. Let's try that again. Hips, auto patch. You know, you can always bring the auto patch itself, right? All the way here. And we want to look for the thigh. Here's the thigh. And then the auto patch from the opposite limb, or from the limb that you want to connect with, goes in here. And we want to bring this auto patch from the thigh all the way to the hips. So now we're going to go back here. And we are over here, hips. And the auto patch goes in here. And then boom. Like that. And then you can bring this auto patch back. You don't have to do this, but sometimes when there's just too many wires, I will do that because it's just too much. So now when I render, everything's there. Okay. We do have some missing details, some missing shadows and all that, but I just think we just need to move on from that. The series is, we're already at part 12, so I'm going to stop here. In the next video, we're going to do the turnaround. So the turnaround is we're going to be animating him into all of those poses. And when we're done, we'll put that into the pose copier. So there's a special way of doing that. There's a trick, and I'm going to show you that in the next video. So please leave a like and a comment if you made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one.